A few times since we reopened our preschool in June, parents have told us that their child, after being picked up from school their first day back, said, "That was the best day of my life." It's one of those things that has you smiling the rest of the day, or maybe even the rest of the week. And I've heard it before. My daughter Stephanie took her 6-year-old son to our preschool one Saturday. It was his first venture from home since the virus hit our county with such force. He had lunch in the gazebo and the run of the yards, swings and slides and sand and space to run, and he too declared, "This is the best day of my life." Now, I love this about children, the enthusiastic way they embrace things. Our preschoolers know about this virus. They know extra special care must be taken. They know they are missing out on things they didn't know they would ever have to miss out on. And yet in the middle of that, they can declare they had their best day ever, live that moment or more fully and joyfully, without their minds racing ahead to be sad that all is not yet normal. Now, I don't idealize children. I raised 3, and I have 2 young grandchildren. I have also just marked my 15th year at our preschool, and so I am pretty much daily immersed in early childhood. And they are sweet. They are hugely interesting. They each have their own gifts and interests and abilities, and they all, without exception, make me smile. But they can also be selfish and even obnoxious at times. And I don't mean that harshly. It is hard to learn how to coexist, whether it is with siblings or neighborhood friends or the community of a preschool or the community of a church or parents or the community of the world. And the learning to do so can be slow. But what I have never seen in a young child is hate. Sometimes they use the word hate, as in, "I hate you," when speaking to a classmate or friend or even parent. But then in the span of 2 or 3 minutes, it has been forgotten, which means not meant. They are back to playing with the one they used the word against, or sitting with that child by choice at lunch, or in the case of a parent, back to snuggling and contentment on the couch. Hate seems to be something we learn over time or nurture. Now, I thought about these things earlier this week when contemplating again the story of Joseph as given in the book of Genesis. We have heard some of his story the past few Sundays. Joseph was the favored son, and this favor was made very clear to Joseph's brothers, the coup de grace being the gift of a beautiful and costly coat. His brothers were hurt by and jealous of their father's favor toward him, and so they plotted to kill him, but decided later to merely sell him to Midianite traders passing by, who then sold him to Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. But soon Joseph thrived in Egypt, became favored by the leadership there, was honored and rewarded for his ability of prophetic dreams, and he was instrumental in Egypt being able to withstand a 7-year famine. And he also saved his family, his father and the brothers who had betrayed him when they came to Egypt seeking relief themselves from the famine. And Joseph forgave his brothers in his heart. Now, the truth is that Joseph, like most of us, was complex, made of many parts. He was naturally gifted, smart, and possessed a character that persevered through hardship and met problems head on with an uncanny savvy. He was charismatic. But he was also arrogant, self-impressed, a glutton for favor and esteem. In a word, obnoxious. But there was no hate in him. There was simply human flaw. And Joseph didn't overcome those flaws, but he also didn't seek vengeance on his brothers. Joseph learned, in spite of his arrogance, that it is better to return good for bad, better for those who wronged him, and better for himself. And is this not what God does for us every day of our lives, when we take the time to see it or free ourselves enough to feel it? And is this not what Jesus did when wandering and teaching and blessing, and then on the cross, and then through the resurrection? God returns good. God always returns good. And it is what we are all asked to practice ourselves until it sticks. Because the animosities, jealousies, frustrations, even hatreds we sometimes feel, small or large, individual or larger than that, when indulged and pardoned and exercised and held on to, grow into furies. And the furies overcome us. I have been weirdly recalling for some time now a song I sang around the campfire in my Camp River Glen and Camp Fox days, when you can imagine how many years ago that was. The song isn't high art in the least, but the lyrics stuck with me, so they must have tapped a longing to be someone I knew I was not, but wanted to be, still want to be. Let me be a little kinder. Let me be a little blinder to the faults of those around me. Let me praise a little more. Let me be, when I am weary, just a little bit more cheery. Think a lot more of my neighbor and a whole lot less of me. God's peace be with you all.